What is normally a very quiet week, especially after a presidential elections. The outgoing president usually enjoying his final Thanksgiving at the White House, getting ready, while the incoming president, of course, is busy getting ready to become president. It's been that way now for 240 years. The most controversial thing a lame duck president typically does is pardon somebody that upsets people on the other side of the aisle. And I honestly wish that the most controversial thing that Joe Biden was doing right now was pardoning his deadbeat son, Hunter Biden. I wish that was it. Sadly, it's not. Right now, we are seeing something that we've never seen before. An outgoing president actively trying to start a war, and an incoming president doing everything he can to prevent that war from happening. And I'll remind everyone that even though Joe Biden and Donald Trump represent different parties, they are still on the same team. We're all on the same team, the American team, the team that's supposed to keep all of us safe, right? This from the New York Times, one of the scariest paragraphs you will ever read, and in typical New York Times fashion, it was buried 23 paragraphs in. Quote, several officials suggested that Mr. Biden could return nuclear weapons to Ukraine that were taken from it after the fall of the Soviet Union. That would be an instant and enormous deterrent, but such a step would be complicated and have serious implications. Yeah, like serious implications like nuclear war between Ukraine and Russia and the United States. But there it is right there. After 33 months of war in Ukraine, to the day, by the way, this keeps happening on anniversaries, nice round numbers. The New York Times saying the quiet part out loud for the rest of the world to hear. Several officials suggested that Mr. Biden could return nuclear weapons to Ukraine. Ukraine with a nuclear weapon would be like giving a 5-year-old a squirt gun at the Thanksgiving dinner table on Thursday. Not a good idea. He's going to squirt all the food. And to be clear, if the U.S. sends nuclear weapons to Ukraine, they're going to get used, okay? It would be the end of life on this planet as we know it. And that's not hyperbole. All this, by the way, for a place called the Donbass region, the eastern portion of a country that most people know very little about and cannot find on a map. And you should ask yourself now, as you get ready for Thanksgiving on Thursday, a holiday where we are reminded of everything that we're grateful for in this life. And for most of us, money, a house, a car, a job, that ranks somewhere behind what's most important for all of us, and that's family. Are you willing to risk your family for the Donbass region in eastern Ukraine? Because I'm not. Ukraine has every right to defend itself, but not this. This is too far. Ukraine has got every right to defend itself, but it does not have the right to put American lives at risk. And maybe people are finally waking up to that reality and waking up to what's at stake in Eastern Europe. A Pew Research poll just out found that only 18% of Americans think that we need to do more for Ukraine. That number, 2 years ago, 70%. Today, 18%. And that's not good enough, Ukraine. In 1941, after Pearl Harbor, the Senate voted a perfect 82-0 to go to war, and the United States entered the Second World War and fought that war for a total of 36 months. We fought that war for 36 months. And I say that because Ukraine and Russia have been fighting now for 33 months, almost the entire time that we were in the Second World War. Think about that. How long is this going to last? How long are we going to pay for this to last? And while more and more Americans are saying enough is enough, the rest of the world is getting ready for war. NATO is preparing to hit Russia first now. Take a listen.
But it's smarter not only to do that, but also to attack the archer that is in Russia if Russia attacks us. So you need to have a combination of deep precision strike with which you can take out the weapon systems that are used to attack us.
Look at the guy on the right, by the way, not even paying attention. Like literally not even paying attention. That right there, NATO military chief Robert Bauer, he's also telling European businesses to get ready for war.
Businesses need to be prepared for a wartime scenario and adjust their production and distribution lines accordingly. Because while it may be the military who wins battles, it's the economies that win wars.
All right, businesses across Europe haven't been told to get ready for war for 80 years. And if you needed more proof that war is coming, The Telegraph is now reporting that officials in Germany are drawing up plans to use subway stations across Germany as air raid shelters. Does that remind you of the Second World War? And that came after secret documents revealed that Germany had plans in place right now to deploy 800,000 NATO troops to Ukraine, including Americans. And I'll tell you what, I don't remember hearing about that here. Do you? Do you remember Congress voting to send the United States to war with Russia? I guess we all missed that. And we probably missed it because the media here have been lying to us for the last 3 years, something that the actor Alec Baldwin suddenly seems to realize.
Americans are very uninformed about reality, what's really going on. With climate change, Ukraine, Israel, you name it, all the biggest topics in the world, Americans have an appetite for a little bit of information.
And maybe Americans are uninformed, Alec, because the media you love and have propped up for years have been lying to the American people for decades about Ukraine and why Russia really invaded and what Americans really stand to gain there. Here is the second highest rated TV anchor on MSNBC today. Maybe this is also part of the problem. Okay, not a lot of Ukraine there. My fear, my honest fear, is that we're not ready for war. Let's say Vladimir Putin decides that, yeah, he's going to go all the way, that he wants war with the United States, that he pushes that red button that he's got at the Kremlin. If war in Ukraine reaches the next level, I don't think we're ready here. I don't think we're ready to fight. In 1941, after Pearl Harbor, this country was ready, the greatest generation. And I think the rest of the world knows this, and here's another example of why.
The military be so silly with their rules. Like, why did I just get in trouble for having a pink lunchbox? And then I got in trouble for wearing lip gloss. Yeah. And God forbid I wear some mascara. Oh, they'd be so mad. God forbid I wear mascara.
Imagine like boots on the ground and that guy's leading the charge, right? Overnight, Russia used a record 188 drones to attack Ukraine. This was last night. Today, I bought canned cranberry sauce and apple pie. I'm serious. I also got colored Christmas lights at Home Depot. And I mention that because while we are all living our lives and getting ready for Thanksgiving, the rest of the world is getting ready for World War III. Imagine if Vladimir Putin put Russian nuclear weapons in Mexico or Canada. Imagine the reaction from the media here. Now put yourself in the shoes of the Russian people and imagine their reaction to the news that the United States might send nuclear weapons to Ukraine. Again, all of this for something called the Donbass region. All of this for farmland east of Kyiv that the average American has never thought about or been to or ever met anyone from. Peace is essential in the world, but peace is not real if the only way we achieve it is through war and then more war. Here's Ukrainian President Zelensky today.
We will definitely respond to Russia for everything it does. It is crucial that these attacks, each one of them, do not go unanswered, not only by us. There must not even be a hint of normalizing Russian terror or becoming desensitized to it.
Okay. Sound familiar? We've been hearing that for the better part of 3 years. And look, our hearts break for the people of Ukraine. But let's be honest. What are their chances of actually beating Russia, a much larger country, a much wealthier country with a much larger military? What are the honest odds of them winning this war? Ask yourself that. When Russia invaded Afghanistan in 1979, they were there for 10 years. Do you want another 7 years of this? Another honest question to ask your family and friends around the dinner table on Thursday. Do you trust your future with this man right here? That's Ukrainian President Zelensky. Not that long ago. Do you trust President Zelensky of Ukraine with U.S.-made nuclear weapons? I will let you decide. Right now, Joe Biden is risking American lives again, and he's doing it during the holiday week on purpose because he knows that no one's paying attention. They're doing what I'm doing and buying cranberry sauce at the store. But we are, I am, and I know you are. And if you're concerned, call your congressman. Call right now. Leave a message. Call tomorrow because this can't move forward. And if you have any questions about that, explain to me how it ends. Explain to me how it ends if we do send nuclear weapons to Ukraine. Joe Biden is not well. He's a very sick, infirmed man. And right now he is contemplating the end of the world. A man who is no longer capable of thinking is contemplating the end of the world. And if you think I'm exaggerating, I'm not. We are one miscalculation away from the abyss. And after that, it's a one-way street to World War III. By the way, they speak one language in Ukraine, and then they speak a different language in Russia, and we all speak English here. One miscalculation away. One guy misses the orders. One miscalculation away. And I also, and no one's talking about this, but I hope that Donald Trump stays at Mar-a-Lago for the next 55 days and limits public appearances. I don't want to see him at rallies between now and Inauguration Day. The ground is clearly shifting. And do you think if Joe Biden is willing to risk nuclear war, that Donald Trump is really safe right now? He is not, because he's the biggest target on the planet, because he represents something that none of the neocons in Washington want. He represents peace, something I've said before, peace through Trump.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.